Coming up on Nightly News. The U.S. government is not funded past September 30th. Find out what a potential shutdown could mean for your financial aid and COVID-19 relief funds.
Mini UCF face masks are made right here in Central Florida. Get a behind-the-scenes look at a former student's company and how it makes masks for UCF's Armor Up Nights fundraiser.
And experts at the Arboretum are leading universities across the nation in controlled burn studies as wildfires continue to blaze through the country.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Matison Little.
And I'm Rodríguez. Today is Friday, September 18th, 2020. Here's your coronavirus update. UCF reports over 450 positive cases since the start of the semester. That's an increase of over 45 since last week. Locally, as of today, the Florida Department of Health reports Orange County now has over 38,000 positive cases and over 1,300 deaths. And nationally, Johns Hopkins University reports over 6.6 million cases, an increase of 2,000 overnight. Deaths total at over 197,000.
The federal government is barreling toward a potential shutdown. Nightly News reporter Fritz Farrow tells us how a shutdown could affect UCF students and their financial aid.
As schools, restaurants, and gyms reopen, the government may shut down. The White House and the House of Representatives have yet to reach a deal on round 2 of a COVID-19 stimulus bill. UCF's representative in Congress, Stephanie Murphy, says the government will likely shut down and students' financial aid may be delayed if a deal is not reached by October 1st.
It would impact disbursements of federal student loans, and depending on what agencies are considered essential, it may impact college students if the Department of Education is one of those that is not deemed essential and is affected by a shutdown.
Representative Stephanie Murphy also says that COVID-19 relief funding may be delayed even if a deal is reached to fund the Education Department.
A delay in financial aid disbursements could be devastating for some students like Isla Meller, who hasn't been able to buy all of her required textbooks.
It's very stressful. I was counting on that money to have an extra boost, an extra sense of security, especially going into the holidays.
UCF spokeswoman Rachel Williams says the university is offering fee deferments and will continue to monitor the situation unfolding in the federal government. In Orlando, Fritz Farrow, UCF Knightly News.
UCF is not alone in their fight to help students. The city of Orlando will be assisting residents with rent payment in the coming weeks, but Wednesday is the deadline to apply. To find out more, head over to the city's website at orlando.gov.
Health officials are urging everyone to get a flu shot this year because the common flu could be COVID-19. Nightly News reporter Charlotte Tratner tells us why we should get a flu shot.
Students, faculty, and staff can get their flu vaccination on campus this flu season. The Center for Disease Control recommends everyone 6 months and older get a yearly flu shot since the flu changes every year. Student health fees cover flu shots, and students can receive their vaccine with a valid student ID without providing proof of insurance. Student Health Services Medical Director Dr. James Schaus says it is critical to get a flu shot because COVID and the flu are both respiratory illnesses.
It's a very tough when you're presented, especially when we're going to be presented in the midst of flu season. For those that haven't been vaccinated and might have the flu, it's anyone's guess, is it flu or COVID? It's going to be very difficult.
Students, faculty, and staff can get their flu shot by finding the UCF Mobile Flu Cart, which drives around campus Mondays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., or by scheduling an appointment at Student Health Services.
But getting a flu shot can also help physicians figure out how to treat their patients. Kyle Riding, an assistant professor in the Burnett School of Biomedical Sciences, says healthcare workers encourage getting the flu vaccine because supplies and labs are already strained.
We're really concerned that we may not have a really great, robust testing system present for when a person comes in with respiratory symptoms that could be either COVID or the flu.
Student Health Services is hosting its first drive-through flu event on October 7th as part of the annual Healthy Nights Expo. In Orlando, Charlotte Tratner, UCF Knightly News.
Student Health Services recommends anyone who tests positive for COVID-19 to quarantine before receiving their vaccination.
UCF's marketing team is partnering with an Orlando sock company to make UCF pattern masks for students. Nightly News reporter Lauren Margolis gives us a behind-the-scene look at how Rockham makes some of UCF's face masks.
A Central Florida-based company called Rockham is home to many UCF alumni and now to UCF face masks. The company, known for making patterned socks, was started in 2011 by a former UCF student and is quickly growing in popularity. UCF alumnus and Rockham Senior Vice President Steve Rollins says UCF's marketing team approached them first.
The marketing department at UCF, they actually came to us with design ideas that they wanted to do, which are the masks you see on our website for the Armor Up fundraiser.
Rollins says proceeds from select UCF masks are going to the UCF Student Emergency Fund, which provides funding for students struggling financially to continue their education. The masks are part of the Armor Up Nights fundraiser and are made at Rockham's headquarters less than 40 minutes from campus. Rollins says Rockham makes around 15,000 masks like this one a day. They're triple layered and adjustable. Rollins gave Nightly News a behind-the-scenes look at how Rockham's masks are made. Rockham's design team draws up ideas here, and the designs are printed on this special machine. The printed design transfers onto a blank mask and is then peeled off and ready for packaging.
I'm wearing a mask anytime I go out in public, and I hope that I see other fellow Knights wearing masks as well.
In Orlando, Lauren Margolis, UCF Nightly News.
Lauren tells us Rockham already donated over $30,000 to the Student Emergency Fund, and they plan on raising even more.
Now for a peek at what's going on in the great outdoors. Natalie, how's the weather looking today?
Today's weather is at 92 degrees with 97% humidity, southwest winds at 5 miles an hour, and a 50% chance of rain. The low today is a 76 with a 97% humidity, and north winds at 5 miles an hour, and a 30% chance of rain. So don't forget your rain boots when you're heading out the door. Back to you guys.
Coming up on Nightly News, the 2020 presidential election is almost here. Find out how COVID-19 is impacting voting and what Orange County residents can expect when submitting their ballots.
A walk in the park for many is normal, but for some it could be life-changing. Find out what one student organization is doing to help the homeless in Orlando.
Welcome back to Nightly News. We now take you overseas for an update from Puerto Rico.
I'm Alanis Quiñones, your nightly news Puerto Rican correspondent. Just 46 days before the general election, a massive unofficial campaign called Sácala y Úsala, accompanied by the 2005 reggaeton hit from Héctor El Father, Don Omar, and Daddy Yankee, inspired the youth to make their voices heard. And for the first time ever, a 2-hour debate on Thursday with the candidates running for governor discussing topics from socioeconomics to education and health. Currently, 6 candidates are on the race, 4 representing minorities. Bipartisanship being part of the Puerto Rican government since 1949, though this election may take the island on a different path. Now back to Orlando for more nightly news.
Voting for the 2020 presidential election is right around the corner. Nightly news reporter Jenna Ehrlich tells us what to expect this upcoming election season.
Is increasing the number of mail-in ballots in the 2020 election. More than 2.1 million people in Florida are planning to cast their mail-in ballots, with more still coming, as reported by the Washington Post. Those registered to vote in Orange County have multiple locations where they can vote in person or drop off their mail-in ballots. Those who want to vote early will be able to from October 24th to October 31st. Orange County Voting Supervisor Bill Cowles says they are working with higher numbers than they have ever seen for a presidential election.
So today we have almost 240,000 requests for a vote by mail ballot, which by far will be the highest number of ballots we've ever sent out for a general election.
UCF SG will be at Memory Mall each Wednesday this month from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. helping students sign up to vote. Only those registered to vote at UCF will be allowed at the polls on campus come November 3rd. Right behind me is the Live Oak Ballroom, where on election day between 8 in the morning and 8 at night, those registered to vote on campus may come fill out their ballot. You will need to bring a government-issued ID in order to vote. UCF Student Governmental Affairs Coordinator Meg Hall says it is important for students to check and update their voting information ahead of time to eliminate any issues that may occur when going to vote.
It only takes 2 or 3 minutes to register to vote, and then maybe a minute to just check that you have everything in order, and it's going to save you, I promise, a lot of time on election day.
UCF Student Government says they hope to have a 70% student voter turnout rate for the upcoming presidential election. In Orlando, Jenna Ehrlich, UCF Nightly News.
Those wanting more information on both early voting and election day voting in Orange County can visit ocfelections.com.
COVID-19 is causing a shortage in poll workers for the upcoming presidential election. Retirees, a high-risk population, and the primary volunteers at these polls in years past are now staying home. While Orange County has filled their poll working positions, Seminole and Osceola counties are a different story. So tune in next week for an update.
Coronavirus is causing concerns for the rising homeless population in Orlando. Nightly news reporter Nataly Montealegre tells us how a group of helping hands can have a huge impact.
We have a lot of socks from UCF that they gave us, and I think I got a pair on right now that I'm wearing. And that means more than you can imagine, because if your socks dirty, your shoes start stinking.
That is George Allen Williams. Being in and out of homelessness for many years, he says COVID-19 has affected his livelihood. Williams sells palm tree flowers around Lake Eola, but says many people refuse to purchase them over the fears of catching the virus. That's where UCF chapter of Salt Outreach comes in. The club, created by 3 UCF students, partnered with the nonprofit of the same name in downtown Orlando. The group gives out bi-weekly care packages to the homeless individuals in downtown, including gloves, masks, and shoes. President of Salt Outreach at UCF, Victoria Orendas, says COVID-19 inspired the chapter to come to fruition.
Back in May, when the pandemic started, unfortunately, a lot of nonprofit organizations that were serving this population, they pretty much stopped working, or they were limited in staff and volunteers.
With cases of homelessness rising, Orenda says that the mission of the chapter is not to aim at being a temporary fix, but rather a platform to help fellow human beings head to the right direction. In Orlando, Nataly Montealegre, UCF Nightly News.
Students can visit Night Connect to join Salt Outreach and stay informed on upcoming events.
When we come back, find out how a new Latinx development course allows students to gain an understanding of leadership.
And see where UCF ranks on Forbes' list of top employers for women this year.
A new Latinx development course is launching this fall semester. It's a second-year lead. A new Latinx development course is launching this fall semester to second-year lead scholars. Students will study, explore, and apply class concepts to current topics in Latinx culture, history, and news. The course allows students to reflect on their past and current leadership learning experiences. Director of Scholars, Stacey Malaret, says she hopes students gain a new understanding of leadership.
Or if they took this class and they do not identify as Latinx or Hispanic, learn appreciation for a culture that they are not privy to. So either way, I think it's going to strengthen the student.
Students in the course are required to attend the events happening during the Hispanic Serving Institution Week in place of Zoom lectures. More information on email leadscholarsacademy@ucf.edu.
Despite reports of sexism at the university, UCF ranks among the country's top employers for women in 2020. Forbes magazine named UCF a leader in supporting women faculty based on company culture, advancement opportunities, and salary. However, UCF's Office of Diversity and Inclusion conducted a survey that shows more than a third of faculty members see or experience harassment based on gender. Director of ODI, Kent Butler, says the survey is meant to pinpoint areas where UCF can improve.
While there may be some isolated cases of bullying and or individuals not being able to see for their value and the work that they bring, that a majority of people feel as though it's still a safe space. They will still invite people to come and try to work here.
Growing up, and even
There's
today,
virtual workshops for faculty to combat gender-based discrimination and promote inclusivity. Other companies with a large local presence also making Forbes' list of top employers for women include the Walt Disney Company, NASA, and Publix supermarkets.
While land is burning in California, Central Florida is also at a higher risk of forest fires during hurricane season. Local experts tell Nightly News reporter Easton Underdahl what goes into fire prevention in our community.
2020 statewide fire summary says over 2.5 million acres are on fire right now in California alone.
There's very good evidence that fires have been becoming more frequent, larger, and more intense, and that's due to a hotter, drier climate.
Dr. Reed Noss was on UCF's first burn team over a decade ago. He says the Arboretum's critically endangered longleaf pine forest ecosystem is fire dependent. This means it's adapted to fire every 1 to 3 years.
If you don't burn it, the richness of plants, the number of plant species declines, many animals that depend on that vegetation decline, so it's very good for the biodiversity, and it's a great learning experience for students.
I'm here at the UCF Arboretum, and you can see on this tree behind me ash from the most recent of the controlled burns. Experts say this helps promote growth within the pine forest ecosystem. Dr. Peter Jacques says climate change is contributing to an increase in extreme events like hurricanes and droughts.
A lot of these extreme events are going to become more extreme. They're going to be more intense. We're going to have more powerful hurricanes.
Earlier this week in a press conference, President Trump said poor forest management is to blame for California's wildfires. Director of the Arboretum, Dr. Patrick Bolin, says UCF is one of the only universities in the state that offers students an up-close look at maintaining a biodiverse ecosystem in a metropolitan area.
There's 300 undergraduate ecology students that have their first field experience in those natural lands right here on campus.
Bolin says with more successful prescribed burns, the Arboretum's pine forest will become easier to sustain and the fires will be less intense. In Orlando, Easton Underdahl, UCF Nightly News.
The Arboretum plans to have its next controlled burns after Thanksgiving once students are off campus. To find out when it will be and more of what the burn team does, follow the Arboretum's Facebook page.
Now to Natalie with your 5-day forecast.
Tomorrow's high is 90 degrees with a 76 degrees and 60% chance of rain. Tomorrow there's an 86 with a 74 and a 60% chance of rain. On Monday there's an 85 with a 72 and a 30% chance of rain. And on Tuesday there's an 84 with a 70 and a 20% chance of rain. On Wednesday there's an 85 with a 70 and a 20% chance of rain. And that's all the weather I have for you guys. Back to Matison and Kai.
Hey Knights fans, I'm Fritz.
Hey Knights fans, I'm Fritz Farrow and here is your sports update. It's about to get peachy. Your UCF Knights take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field tomorrow afternoon at 3:30. Georgia Tech started their season with a win against FSU. Tune in to tomorrow's game to watch the Knights' season debut. Unfortunately, Coach Heupel says QB Mackenzie Milton will still not be playing. The 2020 NFL season is here, and UCF football fans can expect to see some familiar faces on the field. Nightly News reporter Matison Little has the scoop on how this can impact the football program.
16 former Knights are gearing up this NFL season, which kicked off last week. 13 of these players are part of active rosters, including rookie wide receiver Gabriel Davis. And 3 more Knights, including Shaquem Griffin, Adrian Killens Jr., and Nate Evans, are part of NFL practice squads. Another built by UCF athlete and Cleveland Browns long snapper Charlie Hewlett graduated from UCF in 2012 and has been playing professionally for 9 seasons. But he says the name UCF didn't hold much weight until now.
You know, if I said I went to UCF, every once in a while people would kind of, oh, okay, but most of the time people are like, oh, where's that?
Hewlett says because UCF has grabbed the national media's attention, people now know exactly where it is, and he gives full credit to the program Knights football has developed.
It's definitely a testament to the coaches and the players that they're bringing in, and definitely shows, recruits that they're looking at, that UCF's definitely a place you can come and still make it to the NFL, and I think that's definitely big for the future of the program as well.
Hewlett says although he's playing in the NFL, he does his best to keep up with UCF football and is always rooting for his home team. In Orlando, Matison Little, UCF Nightly News.
You can watch another UCF alumnus, AJ Boye, and the Denver Broncos take on the Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday night at 1 p.m. Those are all the sports updates I have for you today. Back to you, Kai and Madison.
Coming up in sports, find out what having Knights in the NFL this season means for UCF. And that's all our time for today. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website at nicholsonstudentmedia.com.
And if you've got a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way by emailing us at nightlynewsucf@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and charge on.